Most of us who pick up a guitar just want to be able to play songs and have fun when we pick it up. And that starts with rhythm guitar. And no matter how good you want to get on this instrument, you need to be able to nail these three things down. And the three things we're going to talk about are clean chord changes, solid right hand technique, and dynamics. And for clean chord changes, what that means is you really just need to be able to play in time, and you need to be able to get to the next chord. You need to be able to transition to the next chord cleanly. If you're just playing an A minor to a C, you better get to that C on the one of your next bar. There's one thing that you can do to work on this, and you can always use this, and it's really just the back and forth technique. So if you have an A minor to a C, then you just grab that A minor and you work on changing to that C chord. If you can anchor any of your fingers and leave them on the same frets, then you should do that. So you need to work that stuff out too. Obviously with an A minor to a C, only one note is changing. So you can easily anchor your middle finger and your index finger. That's obviously an easy chord change that most people know. You can work on something more difficult. You could work on going between this F shape out of your C cage shapes, which is a difficult chord that most people don't know. I incorporated this into my playing by using this method of going between that C shape to other shapes, right? And this is that C shape to that D minor shape, which is your A minor cage shape, if you want to think of it like that. And if you don't know your cage shapes, then don't worry. These are just chord shapes that you're working on transitioning between. And if you just have two chords within a chord progression that you're having trouble with, just do the back and forth technique. Don't keep playing all four chords in that chord progression and then stumbling through that one section. Just clean up that one section, and then you'll be able to play the entire chord progression cleanly. And then let's move on to solid right hand technique. So there's a ton of different strumming patterns out there, and you need to have a good base of strumming patterns that you know. And preferably, you need to get to a point where you can hear a strumming pattern and you can replicate it on your guitar. And that comes from practice. The more songs you learn, the more chords you're going to know, and the more rhythm patterns or strumming patterns you're going to learn. Because with the different songs, you're just automatically going to learn these different rhythm patterns. But you can also look up rhythm patterns and just work through them. So you could just work through them by taking your left hand and resting it over the strings, and then you can work through strumming patterns. On this channel, we like to talk guitar, and we're trying to get better at guitar. So if that's something you're into, then please like and subscribe. And once you learn more strumming patterns and you're confident in that, you really need to start nailing down your dynamics. And what this is, it's volume control, it's touch, it's feel, it's palm muting, it's all those things. And you need to have control with your right hand so that you can control your volume, you can control your tone, and you can control the feel of the song. And this is so important, and it's very overlooked. There's a lot of intermediate guitar players I see that just have one volume, and that's heavy and loud. And you want to avoid doing that all the time, because it really takes away from the song if you don't have any dynamic range to it. So when you're working on those strumming patterns or when you're working on those new songs, you need to work on your dynamics. So if you're just taking in that A minor to C and you're working on that and you're just strumming loud the whole time, it's not going to sound good. But you need to be able to play soft during, softer verses, and you need to be able to play loud during choruses or jams. And, you need to have that range that you can work through. And this is where feel comes in, because you need to feel when you want to increase the volume, right? And then it's gonna come across as the feel that everybody talks about, like, oh, that player has really good feel. And that has a lot to do with their dynamics. So if you're gonna play soft with an A minor to a C, it's gonna be like this. getting louder. And that's just one step of it. And one thing you can do for this, if you have a thick pick, or really any type of pick, but if you have a thick pick and you want to play soft, you can really loosen your grip on it, and it's just going to automatically sound softer than when, if you want to really dig in, you can tighten your grip on that pick and it's going to sound louder. And you can do this with light picks or medium picks too. You can really soften your grip on those, and then it's going to sound even softer, and then you can really tighten your grip when you want to dig in on those, and it's going to make them act more like a thicker pick. So that's one tip for this. Another thing that you need to work on is your accents. So you don't need to strum all 6 strings all the time. And a lot of people do, and you can really create some different dynamic range, some different sounds if you're just attacking certain strings. So with this, if you just want to hit the low strings, then you can do that, and you can go from low to the high strings. And that has a lot different feel than just playing all the strings. And it's a subtle difference, but it makes a big difference. These little subtle things that you can do on guitar, like muting and you know, accents and dynamic range and palm muting and things, make a huge difference to your sound. So once you start getting those accents down and start, you know, just attacking the low strings, the middle strings, or the high strings, then you can also work on palm muting. And palm muting is really, you just take your palm and you rest it on that bridge. And if you don't palm mute, you're going to have a more bright sound. If you start palm muting and you're right on that bridge, it's just going to deaden it a little bit. And then if you really want to deaden it, you can go even farther up the strings. And there's other things you can do too with your dynamics. You can strum right near the bridge and it's going to have a brighter sound. And then it's going to get fuller and more bassy as you move up towards the neck. So all these little things are things you need to work on, and everyone needs to work on this stuff. It's not just beginners, it's everyone who plays guitar needs to solidify their rhythm, and you can use this stuff when you start soloing too. You can use different dynamics, and you need to know your rhythm patterns in your head so you stay in time, and you can have different phrasing ideas when you're soloing and things like that. If you can really work on this stuff and you can master this stuff, then you're going to be able to play any songs you want on guitar, and you're going to be able to have a ton of fun on guitar. You can play with other people. You can really go as far as you want on guitar if you can master this stuff, because it is essential to have good rhythm, good timing, and be able to play chords and songs on guitar. I hope you like this lesson. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.